Welcome everyone to a quick review live stream. As you might know, if you're a recurring subscriber, heavy Firefox user for with Mozilla Netscape and stuff, soon 20 years. And the more it saddens to me to bring you this news. So I'm mostly using Firefox, right? And package this, we have a tiny, funny little open source distribution, a Linux distribution. And you've seen me recurrently hacking even on Firefox, patching our GTK2 stuff, and because previously it linked against two GTK versions. And so version 90 is out yesterday, already updated in T2, of course, because that's what we do here day and night. And the biggest news, I mean, a recurring theme, I'm negatively impressed how little Firefox usually delivers. If you take into account they have hundreds or previously 1,000 employees working on this kind of sort of supposedly full-time. And the more it impresses me in a negative way, how many changes they have, right? This is also release notes. I mean, heck, even the T2 release notes of our unsuccessful one and not distribution are longer. On Windows, updates can now be applied in the background. It's like, yay, amazing feature or whatever. But it's like exceptions to HTTP only mode. But the biggest feature here is, where is it even? FTP has changed. The biggest feature is here in the fine print. FTP support was removed. And a lot of people on some websites applaud that because the usual obsolete feature removal, but I find this actually rather annoying for the reason that, sure, it's an insecure protocol and it's not an amazing protocol. I'm certainly, as a developer, 20-year full stack and Linux developer, aware of that, but truth be told, a lot of software is still distributed on FTP sites, right? Drivers, they're from Windows driver manufacturers, Asia, or most are in Asia, right? ASUS and whatnot. Or old drivers, I think you have a vintage retro system, Matrox, Silicon Motion, or what's the case, or certainly all the vintage retroware. So the internet is still plentiful with FTP sites, and for vintage retroware, I think you download a copy from archive.org or wherever. Sure, a lot of just random examples, right? Not saying that all of them still use FTP, just random legitimate reasons. Think Louis Rossmann, some shady FTP site there in China or Russia or wherever. It doesn't matter. There are still use cases, right? And making it harder for users, sure, I can copy and paste the URL and run it in terminal with curl, but normal users who want to, not first world countries, South America, Africa, have not the latest and greatest PC download, need to download their driver, their vintage Abundanware graphic card and sound card driver. It's like, FTP, wop. And I diffed this. So for me, super annoying. And by the way, this is a diff stat. There are 16,000 files for this few visible features. 1.4 million insertions, 641,000 deletions. Just there you have that. And FTP is the smallest fraction of this. I grabbed this already. I'm actually wondering, for like 10,000 lines of code, can I maintain that in T2, like revert this and ship this protocol FTP? It's like, whatever. Leave in the comments below what you think. For me, a recurring theme 2020, 2021, this day and age, removal of features, the biggest features, it's like, what the heck? Anyway, other stuff here, OpenImage, new tab, most users without hardware. So now web render, improved software performance. I have to say I'm, in general, was not the most impressed with the performance. At times, so this is of course on Linux, but from my aging, yes, waiting for waiting for Lenovo ThinkPad X13 AMD Gen 2 to eventually maybe ship this year, whenever, because I need new silicon. But I sometimes still, although Linux distribution running all my main stuff on Linux, I still sometimes run macOS for our macOS software development here at Xacode, right? And I'm certainly aware that on this hardware or comparable hardware, Safari is so much faster and more snappy. That might trigger some people, but this really puzzles me, right? For organization with previously... Yeah, sorry for that. Wherever you are, the one constant in this world is wherever you are, internet sucks. Not in the office right now where we usually have drop frames. So yeah, internet was acting up today. I tried my luck and we lost. Anyway, yeah, for this view, what I wanted probably to say for this millions of changes, a little bit wondering the disconnect of user visible changes. One user visible change, however, is from Firefox 89 already, which I didn't specifically shout out previously, was this UI changes here. Previously they are Proton, and I have to say this is similar to this change in terms of they make so much fuss about this, and first of all, it's not that visible, right? I mean, they talk about simplified browser, Chrome and toolbar. Honestly, to me, it looks like plain ugly. This is like the same step back in UI design as so often seen, even Apple's totally flat design where you can't even see the difference between static text and user clickable text anymore. Also got a little bit better, but change just for change and then making it worse. Previously, so this now is like flat and like, yeah, and previously these were tabs, like probably invented 3 decades ago, or at least 2 decades, 20 years ago, or no, longer, right? Tabs probably easily 30 years ago, that you have one visual clue what it is, and now, yeah, you don't. So yeah, this is this here, and this menu is, also I have to say, okay, the menus look a tiny little bit better, but honestly it's like, what the freaking heck, why do they even talk about this? And this also, I mean, first of all, it looks extremely unclean, very busy and noisy with all these lines, because you can still disable this. So this is Proton here, Proton enabled. I wonder how long they will keep that. And then, so not only, in my opinion, does this look, although do they previously, I mean, the one thing that changes, so the one thing is it takes a little bit less pixels, which most people would probably prefer. I mean, yeah, not so many, maybe, I don't know, 16 or something. But if you're not rocking a 16 by 10 or 3 by 2, if you're 16 by 9 or 21 by 9 or whatever, you probably like your vertical pixels. But so this, in my opinion, looks much cleaner without a line here, without, also visible that these are tabs and not like nothing. And this looked like a button. The menu, I would say previously, no, it looks a little bit, this is interesting. Previously, I didn't have icons here, so that, maybe because I run this. So I think did they remove the icons, right? I guess I found a bug, because previously I was wondering, this was looking a little bit more ugly. And here were no icons, so maybe there is a bug if you toggle that without restarting, then maybe you miss the icons, because I was just wondering a minute ago why there are no icons. Let's try that again here. So yeah, I guess they removed most icons. It's a little bit more compact. I mean, the menu I barely care, but here this is just a noisy mess, in my opinion. Thankfully, I wonder, probably they remove this in some month or year, but for now you can have this back. And the irony is that this kind of, actually, did they change this? This is confusing. Just, so yeah, this Mac trackpad that some people love. Just realized they changed showing, oh no, what the heck, why did I previously, thought I previously had here control stuff. Now whatever is going on there, strange stuff. I could swear there was previously control S and whatnot for the key bindings. But anyway, the irony is that the browser has very little UI, and of course it is mostly defined by the web application here. And so yeah, investing so much stuff of maybe, as per usual, one step forward 2 steps back or so, and with something barely visible at all, because who cares about some surrounding stuff. Yeah, in case you're wondering, here's this control PNS stuff. Why do I not have that here? That is, or does it? Maybe it's only here? No, whatever is going on there. Yeah. So yeah, some dialogues before that, after that is potentially a little bit nicer, but yeah. There you have it. All in all, a little bit puzzling to see for sure that you need 1.4 million lines of code changes for that part, and in general, recurring theme, not impressed. The only reason I said this before, I'm still running Firefox. You might ask, why do I even still freaking run Firefox? All right, I should mention they have here some blocking stuff, maybe a little bit policy implemented now, whatever, something. They have here some smart block feature, which I now run uBlock anyway, so not sure how. It's like, yes, third-party Facebook scripts with block prevent you from being tagged. I think this was like login, like this was proofs. Is this 90? If you decide to log in with Facebook on any website, yeah, I don't log in with Facebook. I don't have Facebook, so whatever. And printing, printing who prints, printing to PDF, not produces, working hyperlinks, yay, amazing stuff. So yeah, for me, maybe I try, as if I have not enough to do, maybe I try to revert FTP support 42. It looks deleted. Is this completely? I probably should. Maybe we could actually diff that here. As if I had not enough to do. Could try to revert that. Also I have the feeling it might be a little bit of... this was FTP. Let's see. Proxy support was removed. Something. Because it's some more changes all over the place. And then the problem is, if I maintain that, then every other update they change some surrounding lines, and then I need to rediff this stuff. But let's just, does it protocol FTP or the other, the smart protocol FTP. Here's protocol handler. Network, so this is build, so build MSNet module. Yeah, so that looks entirely removed, obviously. Lots of minuses. To sum this up, previously I looked into Chromium or ungoogled Chromium, because I certainly don't want to give all my bits and data and browsing history and telemetry to Google. Ungoogled Chromium stuff. The problem, on the other hand, with Chromium, I had a live stream building that even from source, because obviously that is what I need for our source distribution here, Linux distribution. And the problem with Chromium is similar. It is snappier. I would say even on it's surprising, right? With all the engineers, it's snappier. But building from source, even more a pain than Firefox. Firefox still relatively clean, although previous videos using Rust and Cargo also became an increasing pain there in the Mozilla land. But we tackled that now for the most part in T2 and can even cross-compile this to all the freaking architectures like ARM and MIPS and PowerPC and Spark. But Chromium, sure, you can build this, but you need crazy Google depot tools to check this out, and then it's like, yeah, gigabytes of download of sources, which would not even be the worst thing, but then this depot tools, of course, they don't just use CMake or Meson or stuff. No, they use Google's own whatever stuff and require not Git but depot tools to download additional stuff. So the build process, highly unclean, highly Linux distribution unfriendly, like basically, yeah, not a fan of behind my back downloading whatever dozens of source modules there. That is not how we package that. If this trend continues, or for users' choice, I certainly need to bite into that apple and fully package Google Chrome in the future in T2. Anyway, probably live here on the more live channel. But that is basically the summary. Again, not too many user visible changes. Although I certainly, as an engineer, computer scientist, I understand a million lines of changes, tiny little bug here, tiny little bug there, tiny little bit issue there, or performance optimization, latest JavaScript feature, and or bugs and type confusion and security. Quickly, some 10,000, if not 100,000 lines accumulate, but near 1.4 million lines is rather crazy. But that's what you get for that. Again, some people I saw already in the comments agreed that, yeah, they certainly still use FTP or... And the first comment there from Robert, FTP as a whole or FTPS, I think they never supported FTP or SFTP, is it not SFTP? Yeah, they never supported that. And in general, SFTP is not a very wide used protocol anyway. Job 8891 I was wondering if they removed FTP to make room for more telemetry. Well, not really. I mean, they're in this day and age, in gigabytes of downloads, you can always add more telemetry. But my summary is, sure, it's always for, this is somewhat crazy that nowadays everything flies under for the security label, feature removal. I mean, they could display a warning, right? It's like, hey, this is not a secure connection, but you do not do online banking over FTP. Sure, the NSA or your local security service there could swap your vintage and retro download and driver. Also, theoretically, your operating system, like if it's a vintage retro driver, I think Matrox or Silicon Motion or whatnot, theoretically could do still certificate validation. If you download so the crazy thing is, if you download vintage retroware and games over HTTPS, they could still come from a FBI, NSA, MI, whatever, 6 or what it is there, website with valid certificate. So it's not like if someone wants to hack you, whether ransomware or your local security service, they couldn't swap your download on some mirrored website or have other means anyway. So and it's not like someone would pay particular attention when they download cracked Doom or Super Mario Brothers 3 for DOS edition to run that in their DOS emulator or something. So it's, yeah, for the security. Let's see, what else do we have there? Internet, fine, maybe it's the Graver. Yeah, today I'm not in Germany, so these days I'm not in the office, so ironically here the internet usually is pretty perfect, but as usual when you want to go live streaming, then you had some hiccup. But yeah, I guess it's a European or worldwide thing, yeah, probably. Brandler says dumping down UI to include everyone, good thing, kind diversity. I mean, it's not even dumping down, in my opinion. It's just strange, right? I mean, this is normal UI and the other is like strange modern UI. It's not even dumped down. It's like, I mean, you could argue that this is dumped down, like good old-fashioned tabs that are freaking working and are looking even nice without a line here, without an extra line there. So it's, you can do that again though. I would argue it's less clean, and this is also the crazy thing, right? This is what you pay designers, UI designers and usability specialists 100,000 euro salary a year for. Yeah, I mean, discoverable. I don't know, so here are this access, by the way. I was wondering whether they are in this Proton stuff. I would actually not argue that this is dumbing down. It's just different and non-standard and not following established human user interface design guidelines. Did I now click on Proton? I'm not sure where I click now. So yeah, it's just non-standard and forgetting all the established design guidelines and stuff. Mike asks, any news on P3 Linux? Well, works for the most part, right? Wished Patreon and sponsors and membership and stuff grew faster than it does for me to spend even more time. I actually overdo my time contingent more than I should on all this fun stuff. So the Greva says Chromium just needs GN and the source table. For me, it doesn't fetch anything external. I need to check. GN, well, the documentation I followed was Depot Tools. Does GN come from Depot Tools? But yeah, probably I need to package that in T2 proper. Mika here says warnings give a false sense of security and get ignored by the majority of people. Maybe, but if you need to download something like a driver, having the option to download something is better than none option. Or, I mean, people download it anyway, right? If people want to download something from FTP, driver, retro, vintageware, or schematics, board views, they do it anyway, right? Then they need just additional programs. And I would also argue, I mean, first of all, it's not good usability. And second, maybe some outdated, obscure FTP downloader. Therefore, Windows might certainly be less secure and have more backdoors and telemetry than your Firefox browser might have. And again, you don't do online banking over FTP, right? And then maybe users should understand warnings better also for the case. Sure, warnings get ignored, but if users ignore everything, then they also ignore your accessing your online banking stuff, warning, security invalid stuff, whatever, for phishing attacks. So I would argue educating the user in the modern digital age to understand security issues is more important than removing FTP for vintage and all open source, right? I probably have not mentioned open source, right? A lot of open source stuff is even often still FTP, right? BSDware or even Linux mirrors. So I'm pretty sure if you go to Apache, Linux distribution stuff, there are for sure still plenty of FTP mirrors out there. So anyway, so that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. As usual, give it a thumbs up, share, like, and subscribe, and I hope to see you soon for all the next updates and fun development to come.